What a mess. What a horrible mess Kenya is in. The government that Kenyans don't trust, because one of the things is that the way they came into power, many don't trust, is now supporting Raila Odinga for a job at the African Union Commission chairperson, to be exact. And then Raila comes out and tells us he does not mind at all taking up the job. And while all this is unfolding, which is making Kenyans more than anxious, the local press tells us that actually there was a secret handshake between Ruto and Raila. And that is why Raila is going for this top African Union job. To many Kenyans, it is to get out of the way of Ruto, as he deals with us properly, with no proper position to check him and tell him, hold on, what are you doing? And even to give us inside information of what the government is up to. And actually, this narrative from our press is very convincing. It has a lot of evidence in the eyes of Kenyans. And so Kenyans are asking, where does that leave us? We long-suffering people of Kenya. And even as all this is unfolding, the Kenya Kwanza government is on retreat in Naivasha. The agenda? To finalize how they're going to pass the housing levy in parliament this week. To legalize it so that it becomes law. Now. Housing levy, there is no Kenyan supporting it. A very huge majority of Kenyans are up in arms against this housing levy, and especially how the government wants to raise funds for the housing levy, but also how the government is displacing landowners to make room for this housing project. And by the way, there are so many things about that housing thing that Kenyans still don't understand. And the government has not made any effort to explain. Instead, they have put emphasis on legalizing the collection of funds from the poverty-stricken people of Kenya. Now, while we're still there, I want to confess that I made a mistake. Where I have come from in my long career as an analyst, when I make a mistake, I say, sorry guys, I made a mistake. It was not deliberate. And you know what? I don't know many analysts who do this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Very early on when this story broke, I told you on this channel that the AU Commission chairperson post will not stop Raila from getting involved in local politics. What actually I should have done would have been to explain what I meant. But because I did not, badala excuses nyingi, I take responsibility for that mistake and I apologize. I have never had the intention of misleading anybody, and therefore you'll have to believe me, it was not deliberate. Right. The big question on Kenyan minds is what next? And those diehard supporters of Raila Odinga who still believe that Raila is up to something are asking the question, what exactly is he up to? What is he planning? Is he going to abandon us? What is he up to? Now, what we have heard from most Azimio leaders is that Raila is still very much around, which would seem to support what I have just apologized for, what I said in a previous video. Other Azimio leaders are saying that Azimio will remain intact even in Raila's absence. Very confusing. Which of the two is it? Anyway, in keeping in the tradition, very long tradition of this channel, I know many of you come here to get clarity, to understand where it is not very clear at the moment. And that is exactly what I'm going to give you on my show today. And let me start by saying the following, okay? Based on my information, based on my very careful, long research, Raila Odinga has not abandoned Kenyans. Raila Odinga is very much aware of the backlash, the rising backlash, against the very suggestion that he should take up this African Union Commission chairperson post. Is aware of that. But believe it or not, Raila is indeed up to something. Stay with me till the end of this show and you'll come out of here today understanding exactly what I mean. But let us start by getting something out of the way. And it is this suggestion by some Kenyans that Raila Odinga in today's Kenya can be replaced by another politician. Okay? That is not true. It is very sad. It is very unfortunate. But the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth is that there is no single politician at the moment in Kenya who can step into Raila's very big shoes. There is none. So let us get that clear very early on. However, politicians are politicians, and especially our Kenyan politicians, they're opportunists. They're looking for every opportunity to see how they can come out of all this on top. And so instead of focusing on the problems facing Kenyans, indeed the crisis facing many Kenyan families today, they are focusing on that a distant second. First and at the top of their minds is how they can personally, individually gain from this mess. That is one of the very unfortunate things happening. And I want us to understand that we're not talking about individual personalities in politicians. No! We're talking about how generally our politicians think without personalizing it. Now I'll just give you a quick example from the past to illustrate what I'm trying to say. And with all due respect to Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and the Wiper Party, please forgive me, but what I'm about to say is factual. Towards the tail end of the presidency of Mwai Kibaki, the Americans leaked the following information to us. And of course, the first question I asked myself is, what was the motive? What did the Americans have to gain from this? By leaking this information, which is a story for another day. The information they leaked out was that the Vice President of the Republic of Kenya then, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, had been talking to Americans about putting pressure on Kibaki to step down because of his poor health. And of course, if he had succeeded, then he would have become president, according to our constitution at the time. By the way, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being ambitious and grabbing every opportunity that comes your way. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. However, in the context of what Kenyans are going through right now, in my humble opinion, it would not be the right thing to do. In fact, it would be a slap on the face of the Kenyan people. And so back to the present, what most politicians in Azimio today are doing is carefully positioning themselves to see how they will gain from Raila's absence from the country. And I have some news for them. And it is not good news. Things will not go the way you think they will go. They will not. Okay? Therefore, relax your ambitions. Relax. Tuliza boli. Now, before I tell you what Raila is up to, it is very important that we examine the movements, the behavior of another politician which is directly linked to this whole saga. The movements of another politician, the fourth president of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. What has he been doing? What has he been saying? So far, he has not said anything about this issue of Raila going for the AU job. He has said zilch. Now, according to me, that tells us a lot. According to me, that tells us there is something going on here in the very dirty, filthy backrooms of Kenyan politics. And what has the former president been saying in recent days? Well, he has kept up his careful, calculated choice of words, campaign against the Kenya Kwanza government. His recent remarks at a funeral about how Kenya Kwanza is focusing on the rearview mirror instead of looking ahead and focusing forward, trying to see ahead, was very telling. And it hurt the Kenya Kwanza inner circle and high command. And that is why Rigathi Gachagua got his handlers to sit down and think in an effort to create a response that would shut up Uhuru Kenyatta. And of course that effort failed flat. Because what Rigathi Gachagua told us is that the reason why this government is using the rearview mirror is to make sure that no Kenyan is left behind. Which in my opinion, I don't want to use the word rubbish, but in my opinion, did not fly an inch. Because for instance, in this housing levy and housing project of the government, a vast majority of Kenyans have already been left behind. And therefore, if you're looking in the rearview mirror, you're looking and laughing at them, rather than wanting them to catch up. Because the government is going ahead with this monster, which Kenyans do not support. The next thing we must take very careful note of, which I know many analysts have missed, is that Uhuru Kenyatta has focused his efforts in the Mount Kenya region. His remarks were made in the Mount Kenya region, and that is very significant. Why? Because of the current headache the UDA government has in this region. In fact, it is clear in the Mount Kenya region, currently, the former president has an upper hand politically. And if you still don't believe me, just go and review Rigathi Gachagua's remarks. Even when he was answering Uhuru Kenyatta on the car rearview mirror remark, he was very careful to steer away from the Kenya Kwanza style of insulting people, of putting people down. He heaped a lot of praises on Uhuru, our brother, my elder brother, the fourth president of Kenya, whom we respect, and he was making these remarks in Kikuyu. That immediately tells you that firing barbs at Uhuru Kenyatta right now in the Mount Kenya region is not politically correct. In fact, let me correct that. Firing barbs at Uhuru Kenyatta right now within the Mount Kenya region is political suicide. That man Uhuru is very popular. In the Mount Kenya region, he is very, very popular. And politically is taking full advantage of that. And the people who are on the receiving end, on the losing end, is the Kenya Kwanza government. Because if things were okay, if the government was going to pass this housing levy this coming week without any hindrances, do you think there would have been a need for a retreat Of course not. That retreat is to rally government troops in readiness for the battle that will unfold in Parliament. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that bill is going to be trashed. No. What I'm saying is that they're preparing for a battle. It will pass, but there'll be injuries. It will not pass just like that. And the ongoing retreat in Naivasha is to smoothen things, to make sure that under the circumstances, it passes without injury, it passes with ease. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but taking Ruto's track record so far, and the way he plays his politics and his tactics, where he will do anything necessary to get what he wants, I believe that thing will pass. But let us keep a careful eye on the movements and tactics of the fourth President of the Republic of Kenya, because they should clearly tell us that something is going on. Because seriously speaking, a retired president like Uhuru should now be at the seashells at the beach enjoying himself. He should not be relaxed with his family, well away from Kenyan politics. Don't you think? But the man is still very much around. Why? There is something going on for sure. Now, I have reason to believe that many of us are going to be more than shocked when you discover what is really going on behind this Raila AU job. Manenos. But before we go there, let me give you a very, very hot tip. Now, currently, I know there are very many people on this channel who have a problem. They have land somewhere in Kenya, which they want to sell, but times are very hard. Kenyans don't have money. Although those who have sponsored a show on this channel, many of them have been successful in selling their idle land or their property. And I thank Almighty God from the bottom of my heart for that great favor on this channel and on those who follow us and those who support us. However, the majority of people, especially Kenyans in the diaspora, have that problem. Now here's my hot tip, which is mentioned and explained in great detail in my landmark docuseries, How to Survive and Prosper in a Dead Economy. Now, land is a very valuable asset, but it is also a very expensive asset to maintain. What do I mean? When you have not yet developed it, you're earning nothing from it, despite the heavy investment you made in order to acquire it. And especially in these hard times, you would understand why somebody would want to sell their land. Now, what about if you changed your thinking just a little bit, and you found a way to earn money from that idle piece of land, even as you wait to sell it? You can advertise to lease it. 1 year lease, 2 year lease, for somebody to use it and get you an income as you find a buyer. This will also help you to get the true value of that land when you finally sell it, instead of being forced to sell to the lowest bidder, who bids a very low price, nothing close to the real value of your valuable asset. And leasing will not be hard work. You don't have to do the work yourself. What you're looking for are people to come in and set up something, an income generating project, which will be like sampling your land, because prospective buyers will see some of the valuable uses your land can be put to. It is really a win-win situation, and there are many ideas. Today in the market, we have many companies that will put up very beautiful temporary structures that you can do virtually anything with. You can build a resort, a tourist attraction, you can build rental houses. And if you're close to a campus, you can even build hostels for students. Now on your screens, you can see some of the beautiful work that can be done today with structures which are not permanent. Absolutely amazing. Very beautiful, some of them. And you never know, even some of the people you get to lease your land can end up purchasing it from you in the end. It is a win-win situation. Now I happen to know that many of us on this channel, regulars, are facing this exact problem. You have land somewhere, you have no idea what you're going to do about it in the current circumstances in our country. And guess what? You can get people to lease your land right here on this channel by taking advantage of our sponsorship program. You can see details on your screens right now. Please think about it. It pays big to think out of the box. And I'm really recommending that if you have still not taken in my very valuable, informational, with many ideas, docuseries, How to Survive or even Prosper in a Dead Economy, I highly recommend it. You can see details on your screen. Those same details will be repeated in the description area below this video on YouTube. What is Raila Amolo Odinga up to? Let us start with the facts. Indeed, the facts everybody has missed. The current AU Commission chairperson, the post that Raila is going for, allegedly, is Musa Faki Mahamat. He was elected to the post on 30th January 2017. And very super fascinating, in that election, he beat a Kenyan. Oh yes. The Kenyan he beat was former Foreign Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed. And Bwana Musa Faki was re-elected in the year 2021, and therefore his term ends at the end of this year. Okay, that's important. And therefore the elections are due, wait for this one, in the year 2025 January. Now currently we're in February 2024, almost a year from today. Now we know a week is a long time in politics. A year is an eternity in politics, especially in Kenya right now. Just sample what has happened politically in our country since the beginning of this year. Just January and these 2 weeks of February, a lot has happened. For example, it has become increasingly difficult for President Ruto to address Kenyans anywhere in the country without people heckling him or heckling the people he's with. The cost of living in Kenya has become more and more unbearable. Just to summarize everything, the situation today in Kenya is that something will have to give, and it will have to give very soon. Yeah, a year is a very long time, and therefore bila kizungu mingi, Raila Amolo Odinga is still in play, yeah, until the end of 2024. Let's get that right first. And therefore I'm imagining that I'm Raila Odinga and I'm under a lot of pressure, yeah, to take up this position with the AU from powerful forces, okay, and also dangerous forces. What would I do? Maybe I would sit down and do my calculations, and then I would come out and say very boldly, yes, I'm prepared to take this position. Yes, I'm ready. I'm very eager. I'm very enthusiastic. And I would brief my Azimio troops to support me. I think you catch my drift. And if you've been listening carefully to some Azimio leaders, like the ODM Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna, who's also the Senator for Nairobi, you would have heard them say, yeah, that Raila is still very much around. But maybe you didn't understand kabisa what they were trying to say until now. And there is something else. Based on the current political situation in Kenya, in my humble opinion, I don't always have to be right, I could be wrong. In my humble opinion, Raila Odinga is much more dangerous, out of the limelight than he is when he's at the forefront. Let me explain. Imagine a situation where Raila is already the AU Commission chairperson, and of course he is still very much in the country. He just simply takes frequent trips out of the country. In your opinion, do you think the ODM party would stop taking instructions and advice from Raila? Do you think Azimio would completely ignore Raila Odinga instructions in that kind of situation? Raila Odinga advice in that situation? Raila Odinga ideas in that situation? Do you think that is what would happen? The way I see it, even more sycophants of Raila Odinga would emerge out of the woodwork, in an effort to get political mileage. Na waletea salamu kutoka Raila Odinga. And this is what Raila Odinga said. And this is what Raila Odinga had suggested before, last year, the other year, another time we were with him. All that kind of business. Bottom line, the shadow of this man Raila Odinga is not easy to get rid of. Just the shadow. Please allow me to leave it there and to let you chew on that, because there's plenty to chew on, and there's plenty that will continue to unfold on our political scene long before January 2025. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.